Hello, welcome to this very special edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace, reporting live here at the Cutting Room here in New York City. Making a return visit home to his native soil of New York City is Grammy-Award winning historian, R&B and rock vocalist Billy Vera. In fact, Billy Vera is performing selections off his brand new record in which he pays tribute to the great rhythm and blues songs of the 20s, 30s, and 40s with the big band. We sat down earlier and we talked about this brand new big band record. We also talked about some of the roots of rhythm and blues songs as well as artists. And we also talked about some of his musical rhythm and blues heroes, ranging from Ray Charles to the late Jesse Belvin. And we also talked about how he's been able to stay within the industry and kind of reinvent himself, not through just him being a historian of the music and great roots music, but also passionately playing the music that he loves, which is soul and rhythm and blues. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the sounds of Mr. Billy Vera live here at the Cutting Room with the big band here in New York City.
I ain't for no walking, I ain't for no talking. My baby done left me, just sitting and rocking. I have been scheming instead of just dreaming. Well, she never would have left me, no, just sitting and rocking all day. Sitting all day without holding my baby. I'm such a lonely papa. If she don't hurry and come back, I'm a cinch to up my top. But now if I don't find her, I hope you will remind her I'll stay where she left me, just sitting there rocking all day. Sitting all day without holding my sweet baby. I'm such a lonely papa. If she don't hurry and come back, I'm a cinch to up my top. If I don't find her, I hope you will remind her I'm staying where she left me, just a sitting and rocking all day. Just sitting, rocking all day. Yeah, thank you.
Billy, welcome back to New York.
See you, man.
And congratulations on this brand new record. Now, there's two things I want to start the interview off. One, I'm glad that you really took music from the 20s, 30s, and 40s. Music we call roots music.
Yes, sir.
And you brought a whole nother big band approach to this. How did you choose the songs for this material? And two, what's it like performing with a big band?
Well, I go back to the big band back in my Apollo days when the Reuben Phillips had that big house band up there. And I played with Johnny Carson band. I did Johnny Carson 9 times with Doc Severson's band. So I love big band. You know, my mother was a singer. You know, she was in the Ray Charles Singers on the Perry Como show on his hit records. So she'd bring home, you know, Frank Sinatra, Nat Cole, Nancy Wilson, Duke Ellington, Arthur Prysock even, you know. So I heard all that music and loved it. In addition to the rock and roll and R&B that, you know, guys my age grew up on too.
You know, one of the things that you have done throughout your career, and you're still pretty much, one, you're a historian, and two, you're actually preserving and bringing new life to these very historical songs.
Yeah. Well, you know, when my partner, Tamla D'Amico, who sings a duet with me on the album, she's the one who urged me to do a big band album. She says, you need to do one. Everybody else is doing one. You should do one. You can do that stuff better than anybody. So I said, well, that's cool, but what can I do to make mine different? And so somebody said to me, so well, what is it you know better than most people? I said, well, you know, I grew up in black show business, and I know black music really well. I said, I don't think anybody's ever done a tribute to the great black songwriters of the 20s, 30s, and 40s. That'll make my album different than other people's albums. And so, you know, the more I thought about it, this is a great idea. I could do Duke, I could do Basie, I could do Buddy Johnson, I could do the Leon and Otis Renee, and James P. Johnson, the great Harlem Stride piano player, and all these guys, you know. And I got more and more excited about it, and that was it, man. I said, I'm going to do that. Boom.
You know, recording with a big band kind of takes you back to really the end of, when we're going to rhythm and blues, the era of when the big bands were really losing steam, and a little man by the name of Louis Jordan out of Arkansas changed the whole game with the Timpani Five.
Yeah, he came out of Chick Webb's band, you know. And I just met, this guy came to my show in L.A., a man named Van Alexander, who was a Jewish guy from when Central Harlem was Jewish in his day. He went to George Washington High School. Van Alexander, he became an arranger for Chick Webb's band when Louis Jordan was in the band, and he wrote Tisket a Tasket for Ella Fitzgerald. Can you imagine? This guy's like 99 years old, man, and he took me to lunch, and just like this cool old guy, man, and I get off on that, you know, and came to the show and everything.
And you know, I think, if memory serves me correct, the reason why Louis Jordan was kicked out of the band is because he was trying to seduce. Well, he was trying to get Ella
to leave with him.
Exactly,
yes,
to form his own.
So I believe that's true. Yeah, a guy named Bardu Ali was the MC of the band. He later went with Johnny Otis, and I think Bardu Ali used to tell that story. So it's probably true, I would imagine.
Oh, you're a sweetheart. If there ever was one. If there ever was one. Baby, it's you. Oh, my life without you was an incomplete dream. You are every sweet dream come true. My search was such a blind one, and I was all at sea, but I never thought I'd find one quite so perfect for me. Oh, yo, sweetheart. If there ever was one. Hey, if there ever was one, mama, it's you.
You have two vocalists that you really put on a pedestal, and growing up, my father still plays his music. The first vocalist is a man by the name of Jesse Belvin, and I want you to explain to the viewers who Jesse Belvin was, because I think Jesse Belvin was the first R&B. He was kind of what he was to R&B what Nat Cole was to popular music.
That's a very good analogy. I believe so too. I first heard Jesse at a 7th grade dance, Our Lady of Mount Carmel, up here in Westchester, and he had Good Night My Love out, and I danced with Yvonne Lacerte, you know, with 7th grade dance, you know, all the boys on one side of the hall, all the girls on the other side, and I just dug his voice, man, because I had already dug Nat Cole, My mother had brought home, when I was 6 years old, she brought home Nat's record of Frim Fram Sauce. So I was already hip to Nat, and that one, and I Love You for Sentimental Reasons, and some of those early trio Nat records. So yes, Jesse reminded me of Nat at that age, and I loved the ease with which he sang. And it wasn't until I got older and had started singing myself that I began to really appreciate his greatness. Because, you know, anybody can make it look hard. You know, you see a lot of these singers, they get the neck bulges and the vein bulges in their neck, and they sweat and they make it look hard. Jesse made it look easy. Do you know how hard it is to make it look easy? Because you got to have more control. And he did. And then he made he had a song called Guess Who, which he wrote with his wife, Joanne. And then he made his last album before he died, called Mr. Easy. Have you ever heard that? Yeah. Insane album, man. Imagination, What's New, these wonderful songs. And I studied that album not to try to copy him, because you don't copy people. You are inspired by them, and you learn what they do that makes them great. You know, so I said, I'm gonna try to sing in a way that makes it look not hard, and because I defy anybody to sing like Jesse Belvin. You can't. And so when I got older and I began to produce Lou Rawls records, I said, was Jesse here when you moved to when you came to town with Sam Cooke? He said, oh yeah. He said, we were all in the same clique. He said, it was me, Sam, Jesse, Gene McDaniels, Les McCann, Larry Williams.
Wow.
All these guys were in the same clique.
Wow.
He said, Jesse was our leader. I said, even above Sam? He said, even Sam bowed down to Jesse Belvin. That's how great we all thought Jesse was. And he said, I believe that Mr. Easy album is the greatest jazz pop album ever made. And I asked Nancy Wilson the same thing. She said the same thing. And then I met David Paich from that group, Toto. His dad, Marty Paich, arranged that album. And he said, and Marty arranged for Sinatra, for Ray Charles. And he said, my dad told me, he said that was his shining hour. He felt that was the pinnacle, artistic pinnacle of his career, Mr. Easy.
You know, the 50s brought a very different dynamic of vocalists. I mean, Little Willie John was in a whole nother league by himself. Jackie Wilson was in a whole nother stratosphere. Yeah. And then James Brown and Ray Charles were kind of, in my opinion, I think Ray and James were the Duke Ellingtons of soul music.
Absolutely. You know, I think James Brown's sax player, Maceo Parker, I got to sing with him. And I believe one day, I predict, Maceo will be seen as important to the instrument of saxophone as Charlie Parker, any of those guys, because he invented an entire new style of saxophone playing. Nobody played like that before him. He invented that, man. Out of what? Out of whole cloth. James Brown. You listen to... Someone once told me about art. He said, you look at a Matisse or a Picasso, always, to judge art, you always judge them with what was going on at the same time. Not with what was before, not with what was at the same time. Then you see the importance of that person. So you listen to a James Brown record of 1959 or 1964, and then listen to what, he was always 5 years ahead of everybody. And so those are amazing records. Ray Charles, to me, he is the most important musical figure of the second half of the 20th century. I would say that. And I've done 7, 8, or 9 CDs of his material as either a producer or a note writer. In fact, I won my Grammy for that. Yeah. Finally, man. I didn't make it for the 50th anniversary box, which we did. We were nominated for that, for producing and annotating. I love Richard. I got to work with him. I got to record him with Lou. Right. We did a duet of a Sam song called, what's the name of it? lights shine soft and low. Wait on. That's where it's at. Lesser known Sam Cooke song. We got to record Ray. So we did the tracks in New York with Richard T. and Cornell Dupree and all these great guys, and we cut Lou's version, Lou's track, and Ray wanted to do it at his studio, and his studio wasn't the greatest, you know. So I bring the tape, the big 2-inch tape, down to Ray. He takes it from my hand and he puts it on the machine, and he threads it in the machine. It's a blind man. Threads it. He listens to it one time through, and he says, "That's Fathead doing the solo, isn't it?" I said, "That's right." He said, "You know, that solo ought to go 8 bars earlier." And I had asked Jerry Wexler, you know, my old mentor from Atlantic Records, who produced Ray in the 50s. I said, "You got any advice for me?" He said, "Yeah, you don't produce Ray Charles. You just get out of his way and let him do his thing." So I said, "Okay." So he takes a razor. It's a blind man cutting my $10,000 session. He done my tape, man, and he took Fathead solo and he put it 8 bars earlier, and he was right. It sounded better where he thought it was. That's why they call him the genius.
Ray Charles did something to soul music that was different too. He incorporated the big band,
yes,
the jazz big band, and he took the elements of blues music and gospel music.
And country.
And yes, right. Do you think that there's ever going to be another generation of musicians like him or James Brown?
One can only pray. You know, we can only hope. I don't know. I haven't seen anything like that in the interim since then, sadly. I keep looking and hoping. But those two guys, man, I mean, the innovations they made. I mean, what you just said with Ray, that's what I admired about Ray, was he didn't stick to one idiom. He wanted to sing country songs. He sang country songs, you know. Songs belong to everyone. This whole notion has always annoyed me. I said, well, man, you know, people aren't supposed to sing black songs or whatever. I said, why not? Songs are meant to be sung. Song doesn't know color. Song doesn't know ethnicity. A song is a song. It is a piece. It's, you know, it's like a saxophone or a guitar. You know, you don't care what color that guitar is. You just pick it up and play it. And that was, I said, if you're going to say that, then you can say Ray Charles has no right to sing country songs, and yet it made his career. Come on, give me a break.
Look what they said to Tony Bennett when he did that live special on MTV. They said you'll never be able to reach out to
the punk kids.
And and that was one of the biggest things. In fact, that catapulted his career
Absolutely.
to a whole nother stratosphere.
His son, that was his son Danny's
That's
idea.
Right. That's right.
He said they came to make fun of my father, and they went away loving him.
That's right.
Wow, that was a genius move, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They came to make fun of him, and they walked away loving him.
Well, if I don't love you, baby, if I don't love you, baby, if I don't love you, baby, grits ain't groceries, eggs ain't poultries, and Mona Lisa was a man. Be a fly. I light on my baby, stay with her till I die. With a toothpick in my hand, I dig a 10-foot ditch, run through the jungle fighting lion with a switch, because you know I love you, baby. Well, you know I love you, baby. If I don't love you, baby,
the Beaters pretty much is an amalgamation of your love for Ray Charles. In fact, you incorporated your own sound with the horns, because in the early 80s, late 70s, nobody was really doing that.
There were no horn bands, no. There was a band called the Knack. You remember My Sharona?
That's right.
So every record company was trying to sign another Knack, because they have no imagination, these record company guys. And we didn't care. We didn't start the band to get a record deal. You know, I was 33, 34 years old by that time, and I said, I'm too old to be a rock and roll star now. We're just going to do it to have fun and meet girls, you know. And we played and we played. Next thing you know, people liked us. Next thing you know, man, we had lines around the block at the Troubadour, and it took a year before the record companies actually took out their wallets and wanted to sign us up. And we did. We had a little hit record, you know, I Can Take Care of Myself. And the follow-up was At This Moment. Only went to 79. And the promotion man, a really great promotion man named Bernie Grossman, good guy. He had a fight with the owner, not the owner, the head of the company. And he quit. And so we had nobody to promote that record. Next thing you know, the company's out of business, and I couldn't get a record deal for the next 5 years. So I sort of eked out a living as an actor, you know, playing Thug of the Week or whatever, you know, whatever they do with New York actors. And then I get a phone call one day. Hello, this is Michael Whitehorn. Is this Billy Vera? I said, yeah. He said, you the same Billy Vera got the band? He said, yeah. He said, I was at the club, saw you the other night, heard you do this song. I produced a show called Family Ties, and we'd like to use this song we heard you sing on the show. I said, go ahead. And you know what happened. You know the rest of it.
You know, that record really, to this day, it's a beautiful, beautiful. The 80s was also keen for some great pop ballads. And that record, you know, people get married to that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's like I saw the thing
Across the board.
Exactly. I saw a couple of years ago. Was it the Nick at Night Awards? You know, they gave they honor and you said
it was the TV Land Awards.
There you go. There you go.
Down here at the Jacob Javits Center.
There you go. And you know, people still have emotional connect to that record.
I know, it's amazing. Even at the time, I mean, it crossed all boundaries, that record. We had kids in junior high school using it for their junior high school prom song. I had 65-year-old people coming to see it, everything in between. We were on the pop charts, #1. We were on the R&B charts. We were on the country charts. I mean, that record, it knew no boundaries, like Ray Charles. And that was, to me, the big thrill to me. You know, I said, wow, man, I'm doing it like Ray. You know, I'm crossing over to everybody. And that was what I wanted to do, because I didn't want to be stuck. I never wanted to be stuck by boundaries. You know, and that record did it. Thank God.
What did you think I would say at this moment when I'm faced with the knowledge that you just don't love me? Did you think I would curse you or say things to hurt you? 'Cause you just don't love me no more.
That'll do it again for another edition of the Pace Report. Reporting live here at the Cutting Room here in New York City. I'd like to personally thank the talented Billy Vera for his time, as well as the staff and management here at the Cutting Room. As always, please visit my website, www.thepacereport.com, for my weekly column, as well as my past segments. Till next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Till next time, peace.
If I could be with you, I'd love you long. If I could be with you, I'd love you strong. I want you to know I wouldn't go until I told you, honey,